So finally, the one piece of my Star Wars Week advertised content that hadn't yet happened is happening. That being, I am going to be playing a little bit of Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I haven't played in a very long time, but specifically just to give you something to look at whilst I am talking about a recent series that featured on Disney Plus. So with that in mind, hello there, welcome to Saber Duel Gaming, where we always take the high ground, and welcome to my stream where I am going to be looking at and reviewing, giving my thoughts on Tales of the Empire. And of course, I would not attempt to do this one on my own because otherwise it's just me rambling on. It's a little bit nicer to have a bit of discussion and debate. So I am joined by my very good friend, the Gaming Lord 04.
I've been dragged back to this hellhole.
So he's never invited back ever again.
I meant the game, not the chat.
Oh, okay. I was like, how dare you? How dare you, boy? Come on. We spent a lot of time on this game, to be fair. You know, gave this game a lot of love in our day.
As long as we stay away from hero villains.
As long as we stay away from Ewok Hunt, I am happy to make that compromise.
Oh, but you gotta love Ewok Hunt.
No, I don't, and neither does anybody else.
It's Vietnam with bears and sticks.
Yeah, that wasn't good either.
What?
Vietnam, that wasn't good.
For the Americans.
So, it wasn't good for them. It was very bad for them.
I said for the Americans it wasn't good.
I don't think the Vietnamese people enjoyed it very much either, if I'm honest.
Oh,
there was no one. Apart, it was a very good time for music. But other than that... So, anyway, recently it's been Star Wars Week. Star Wars Week is very much definitely over now, I think, is fair to say. But
we're on... Hold on, what? We're on the 11th, yeah.
Yeah, it goes up until the 7th, basically.
It goes until the 10th.
Nah, it's from the 1st till the 7th.
Because
it starts before then. No. Either way. Anyway, it's over, I think, is the point. Very quickly, in a nutshell, I know you had a very nice Star Wars Week. You went to one of your little Comic Cons, and you did your very awesome, I have to say, cosplay as Boba Fett, didn't you?
Yeah, that was... It was awesome to wear, but by God, did it get hot.
Yeah, I remember watching. I saw all of the. I would say, by the way, anyone who has any interest in Star Wars or cosplay, please do and go and check out his channel. If I can,
posting a video later on showing like the different parts of the cosplay in detail and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. It was
what
so
I made
cool.
It out of, how I made it, and all that.
I'm going to post a link to the Gaming Lords channel just there in the stream. So please do consider going and checking it out. It is so cool. Where the
only video of the cosplay on there for now is the helmet.
And also as part of Star Wars Week, we both went and rewatched The Phantom Menace. Which was... I know this isn't actually about Phantom Menace, this stream, but as we're wrapping up Star Wars Week as well, very quickly, obviously you've already seen the movie, but this was your first time watching it in the cinema.
Yeah.
Do you want to give your feelings in a nutshell?
I went slightly deaf when Duel of Fates came on. But I was like beaming the whole time, seeing all my favourite moments happening, minus the whole creepy flirting between Anakin and Padme.
Oh yeah.
And you came to a realization when we were watching it. Jar Jar makes quite an inappropriate comment about Padme, doesn't he?
Yeah, he literally said something about about her being very nice, and then he looks at Anakin. Bear in mind, Padme is like what, 14 or something, or 12? I don't know.
I think she's 12 to 14, I think, isn't it?
And he literally goes, and kind of hot. And I'm there going, You absolute predator. What the hell, man?
And he's saying this also to Anakin, who is
To Anakin.
what, 9?
Yeah. I was like, oh, awkward. I mean, for me, I'd seen Phantom Menace when it first came out in the cinema. So this was my second time seeing it. But I enjoyed it. I mean, for me, it's all about that moment at the end when the doors open and Darth Maul steps out. That is epic. I think the only one of the Star Wars films I haven't seen in a cinema now, I think, is Return of the Jedi. I've seen the when they re-released the first time. Just hit 261. I saw New Hope. I recently went, I think it might have been last year, and saw Empire Strikes Back when they did. Was it the 25th anniversary of it or something? I don't know if it was that one or Return of the Jedi.
Empire Strikes Back.
No, I don't know. There was no, they didn't. 40th.
Recently, it would have
40th. It might have been that one. Yeah, 40th.
Phantom
sorry.
Menace is 25.
Yeah, ignore me. You know what I mean. It was an anniversary. It was an anniversary. So I think there's only one of them I haven't seen in the cinema now, but yeah,
Attack of the Clones.
No, it'll either be. I saw Attack of the Clones like 3 times in the cinema. But I think it's either Return of the Jedi. I think it's Return of the Jedi that I haven't seen then.
Did you not watch it when we went to? No, not when we went to, but when it was re-released.
I saw either. It was either Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, but one of them I haven't seen.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that is those. So I suppose we'll focus a little bit on what we're actually here to talk about, which is Tales of the Empire. So for those that don't know, a little while ago, obviously Disney had made, well, they hadn't made, but had gone back to making animated shows that similar to the Clone Wars that had been made, and it's been thrown far there. And amongst things like Bad Batch and hello, we've got a DC in the chat there. Empire Strikes Back is the best. That's where it started. I mean, it's not where it started, but I do think for a lot of people consider that one the best.
Yeah. They introduced Boba Fett into it. How can it not be the best?
There we go. I personally always preferred Return of the Jedi, if I'm honest. Gonna throw that in there. But anyway, yeah. So we had. I've got nowhere to join back in. Oh, default. Okay. So. Yeah, we had like Attack of the Clones and Rebels and all those. And Disney, they did another series of the Clone Wars, season 7 that introduced the Bad Batch, which became their sort of new show.
Did the Bad Batch.
And then after Bad Batch, we had a new animated series called Tales of the Jedi, which was they were really, I think they were only about 15 to 18 minute long as well, weren't they?
I've got it up now.
I mean, it doesn't really matter, but and they were just short, and they focused. There was 3 episodes focused on each of 2 different characters. One was Ahsoka, and one was Dooku. Specifically talking about his time in the Jedi and how he eventually joined the dark side and stuff. And they were all set from different periods of time. They were just short stories. But they were pretty good. I particularly like the Dooku ones because they gave some good backstory to him. The Ahsoka ones, they were good, but they were just very unnecessary because
was basically told in Clone Wars.
Yeah, and we were just about to get an Ahsoka live action TV series as well, so it was absolutely unnecessary.
It was very much just let's just give Ahsoka as much attention as we want.
It was
also the star of season 7 of Clone Wars as
Clone Wars, absolutely, yeah. So it was just not needed. But either way, they were well received as a series. It was well received, and there was a lot of talk. And I think even before it was formally said, we had discussed what we would sort of do with another series. And I think we'd talked about calling one Tales of the Sith, hadn't we? Yeah. And, looked at what we would have done with that. And inevitably, it came out. It wasn't called Tales of the Sith. It was called Tales of the Empire. Close enough. We'll take it. And I think initially we'd had some conversations about who we'd put in it. And I think we'd talked about Darth Maul. I think we'd had some little bit more outside the airbox thinking, like maybe a Darth Revan or a Darth Plagueis or some of those. We didn't get those. We got two very unexpected characters. One was Morgan, who is a Night Sister, most notably seen in... She was in Mandalorian, wasn't she? Before,
she was introduced
then
in
being
Mandalorian,
and then in Ahsoka.
That's how he gets his. That's how he gets his
right.
Beskar spear, and then in Ahsoka.
And basically, I was like, I don't actually know if she's in the Empire, but she has some time in the Empire, so okay. And then the other one was Barriss Offee. For those that don't know who she is, she was a Jedi who, during the Clone Wars cartoons, basically sets up Ahsoka, has everyone think she's betrayed the Republic and stuff, and because it's then later found out it wasn't, Ahsoka feels a bit betrayed, that people didn't believe her, and she leaves the Jedi, and so she's got a bit of a story. DC in the chat says, I kind of wish we had something that would be, be a Sith-ish game or Grey Jedi like Lord Balin. He was awesome, by the way. For those that don't know, Lord Balin was in the Ahsoka series. Him and Shan Hati were...
Shin Hati.
Oh, sorry, Shin Hati. Whatever her first name is, it definitely ends in Hati. Either way... they were both awesome characters. I would have loved to have seen those in a game or in a series, but we didn't get that. We got these two characters. Now, before we talk about the series itself, what were your thoughts when you saw that those were the two? Just before you answer, because I've seen DC's typed again. He says, his Templar Knight fighting style was cool. It was. He had a completely different look as well, which was awesome. I really liked him. So, Gaming Lords, what were your thoughts when those two were announced as the characters we were going to be talking about?
I'll be honest, I actually was kind of interested originally when I saw the trailer, and obviously finding out that those two were the characters we were going to be delving in deeper, purely because I actually really liked Morgan's character in Ahsoka and in The Mandalorian, especially when you find out that she's a Night Sister in Ahsoka, and I did always quite like the Night Sisters and the magic and the different dark side users.
And obviously up until that point, the Night Sisters we mostly seen were obviously Mother Talsum, and we'd obviously seen quite a bit with Asajj Ventress being part of that as well.
Merrin in Jedi Fallen Order.
But I mean on the actual television, what we'd actually seen.
On screen.
I mean, I think I remember us having the discussion, because I think as soon as the trailer came out, you'd instantly messaged me to make sure I'd seen it, and we had a little discussion about it. And my take, and obviously that was yours, and you'd said that. My views. First of all, let me be clear. I had no issue with either of those characters. I was quite happy to see either of those characters in a show. Yeah. What I actually felt was really underwhelmed, not because of the characters themselves, but because I could have thought of about 20 other characters that I would have rather have seen beforehand. More deserving, that needed a backstory to be told, that were, that really, the likes of a Darth Plagueis, we literally talk about. I would have loved to have seen Darth Sidious. Let's see him when he's a kid. Let's see when he first joins with Darth Plagueis, when he, any time during the Empire. I would have. There's a lot I would have rather have seen. We spoke a lot about some of the other Inquisitors that we would have liked to have seen about. But I think that was my general view. It wasn't that I didn't like the characters that were in it. I just thought, man, that's your first choice. That's your first draft. So I think that was my view. Now, that said, I was still very keen to watch it. And, of course, literally on Star Wars Day, May 4th, we after watching Phantom Menace and everything...
What was the wrestling event that was on Backlash?
Oh, it was Backlash.
Backlash.
After watching Backlash, we sat up and we were like, right, let's check out Tales of the Empire. And because they were only short, as I say, they're only like 15 to 18 minutes long. We watched all 6, and I suppose if we break it down to the two characters, the stories of the 2 characters. If we start with Morgan, so as we said before, Morgan is a Night Sister who was introduced to Star Wars as a character in I think the 2nd season of The Mandalorian, during episodes. During episodes that were really focusing on Ahsoka's story. And it was weird because she was sort of presented as someone like we should have already known her. And I was like, oh, know her. And obviously it's because we were going to find out backstory and stuff down the line. We then saw her quite a lot in the Ahsoka series, and she was relatively interesting in that. Although I did find, and they were not talking about the Ahsoka series, I did find that she sort of came to a rather anticlimactic end. We have this point where she's given, like, she's maxed up, super powered, given some sort of, like, force, magic, dark side sword.
Thousands blade.
Yeah, that you just think, so that could go head to head with the dark saber, and easily, you know what I mean? So you're thinking this is...
And she gets killed off.
There she's just dead for no reason in the middle of nowhere over nothing. So that didn't help inspire me to be particularly excited to find out more about her backstory because she's dead and I don't care now. But that aside, just judging the 3 episodes as they were, what we saw, and I'm not going to sort of break it down episode by episode because they are so short. We watched them all back to back. It's sort of hard not to just look at the overall package. But if I sort of summarize her story a little bit in a nutshell, do you want to sort of give your thoughts on it then? Because I think you've got probably a bit more stronger thoughts on it than me. So if I just very quickly summarize the story in a nutshell, we saw that as a sort of young Night Sister, she was her sort of tribe, family, group, clan, whatever we call it, was sort of attacked by, well, these guys that you're seeing on the screen at the moment, the sort of army being led by, the droids being led by Grievous. And I will say we saw Grievous looking his most badass that we've seen for a long time. Coming in, slaughtering a village. She ends up hiding up with another village, like a clan of not Night Sisters, but others of her species that we'd never seen before, which I know you've got some very strong views on. We then later see her in the Empire, working in the Empire or getting recruited into the Empire. She's working on some ships, but is seemingly very much like she's being overlooked. She's not in the Empire, but working with them for her sort of new town she's a part of. Like, she's sort of the mayor of, which we never really see why. Like, that she just appears in this town, and she's the mayor. And they're all turning against her.
It's literally like she just arrived and they were just like, oh yeah,
be in charge of us.
You're promising all these things, we'll let you be in charge.
Yeah. So she's just there in charge suddenly. And the moment we see her there, they start turning against her because the Empire aren't giving them what they want. And then the next time we see her there, she's being really cruel and dominating the whole thing. And Admiral Thrawn, or Grand Admiral Thrawn, sort of comes in and
it's just Admiral.
Admiral, that's right. That's why I was thinking Admiral then.
Yeah.
DC says, got a bounce, bro. Just wanted to stop in and say hi. I'm at work. No problem, DC. Thanks for swinging by, mate. Really appreciate it. I hope you're having a good day. And then the next thing we know, Thrawn recruits her, and it sort of then takes us off to sort of a little bit more like where we are when we see her in Ahsoka. But it just didn't feel like very much happened to me. But I think you've probably got some stronger views and opinions on this. So I'm going to pass over
Yeah.
to you now. Those 3 episodes, beginning to end, what were your thoughts?
Well, like you said, in the first one, it basically takes place when Grievous's invasion of the Night Sister happens, and he kills them all. So, and then she basically gets saved from this whole ordeal by Night Sisters that are basically light side users of the Force. So, like the Jedi equivalent of the Night Sisters.
Yeah, they were called, like, they were the Mountain Clan or something, was it? They were called.
They were called the Mountain Clan, which is better than the name I thought they would have used for them, like the blooming Light Sisters or something like that.
Yeah. Evening
I was just saying,
Sisters.
it's the Morning Sisters. The
Breakfast Sisters. That just sounds like a
the
demand.
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Sisters. I was like, harsh.
But yeah, so I found that quite interesting because I thought, oh, that's cool, because then that means that, oh, maybe there's like light side Zabrak, which are the species of
That's the
Darth
air.
Maul.
Yeah.
Because we do see, especially in the Old Republic games, there are, or at least there is one Jedi who is a Zabrak.
Yeah.
So I thought I found that quite interesting, and it also presented the idea of just like, oh, does that mean there are just like other clans, like if they're the light side users of the Night Sisters, then are they just normal everyday civilian Night Sisters?
Yeah. Because surely not everyone in their species is even Force sensitive.
Yeah. But so yeah, I found that interesting. The next episode, like you said, is the one where they're sort of overlooking her and her designs, and the designs are actually for anyone who watched Rebels, the TIE Defenders, which are the ones that have the shield around them. So
yeah, because up until that, the TIE fighters were known for not having shields.
Yeah.
Random Star Wars facts there.
Yeah. Which I think, if obviously the reason the ships were never added in, because obviously, well, in actual real life reasons, George Lucas didn't add the actual ships in. But he just had the TIE fighters and then the TIE interceptors and then the TIE bombers, not the TIE defenders. They were mainly just added in, like, I'm assuming Legends or video games.
I'd seen them in video games first. Things like, I think it was the Rogue Squadron games or something like that. I think was the first place I saw them.
But they're basically, I think they were also capable of hyperspeed as well, which I don't think TIE fighters were, because they had to have that big ship that
they always came from a base ship, didn't they? I think they even comment, you don't see, I think in A New Hope, it can't be out here alone, not this far from, or something. So yeah, she's she's introducing. She's not made it, but she's presenting it.
She's not made it, but she's presenting like the blueprints of the TIE Defender, which we obviously see come to fruition in Rebels, where they make the prototype one. So
and is it Thrawn that introduces that?
Yeah,
in
Thrawn
Rebels,
introduces that. And everyone seems to think, oh, he's the one who came up with it.
Well, I think the reality is neither of them did. It'll have been some actual engineer that came up with it. It's a matter of which of them will actually fund it. But sorry, anyway.
But so she then goes back to her home, her new home planet, after getting rejected by the Empire, basically. But there's someone on the in the presentation area that she was presenting the blueprints, who works for Thrawn, and it's basically just like, we'll he asks her a couple questions, and then is just like, okay, we will talk to you shortly. And then
Yeah, he
just
says
basically-
something like, "Why do you really want to do this?" And she says, "For the glory of the Empire." And he's like, because that's not the answer he wants, because that's everyone knows that's just bollocks. That's just what people say to impress them.
Yeah, everyone in the Empire is just there, just saying that, and they just say, it's like, yeah, that's just this bog standard answer we get.
So the moment they hear that, they're like, we'll be in touch. But what he really means is, you better get it right next time.
Yeah.
And then the next time it's Thrawn. Go back to
when
she gets back.
The next time, the assassin that Thrawn has in Rebels actually comes back with, I'm gonna say it, a better look than he did in Rebels. Because,
it's only a slight change, isn't it? But
most people's designs from Rebels are a lot better in the Tales of the Jedi that we've seen and all that.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they sort of fight it out, and then the same guy from the meeting comes down, and he's basically just like, I'm not the one who's going to be speaking to you this time. He is, and then Thrawn's just suddenly there.
Yeah. Big Blue himself.
You gotta love Thrawn with the cold, demeaning voice, just with like very little care for anything, pretty much. Like the sort of like sociopath sort of feel to the voice.
There's just a cold calmness that's
and it is absolutely terrifying, and that's why I love Thrawn. But so he basically talks to her. She basically gives him a real answer to the question. And
it's revenge, basically.
Revenge,
yeah.
Revenge. Like she wants the. She says she wants the strength, and then she'll return the favor by using that strength for the Empire, which I'm pretty sure is basically it summed up, but it's probably
that's it.
But then the next one sort of skips forward a little bit just before Mandalorian season 2.
Yes, that's right.
So basically, someone who was on the planet before has now become like an emissary of the New Republic. So
so we're talking after the movies now, after the original movies.
So she basically comes down and just like, we're giving you the option to just come quietly, like answer for your crimes. But if you don't, then we'll take the town back by force. And then they kill everybody, and
just complete I'm evil murder people now.
And the emissary sends out a distress beacon, and the person who answers the call is Ahsoka, which something I noticed isn't voiced by the normal voice actor we would normally have in animation. She's actually voiced by the same person who plays her in
Rosie Dawson, isn't it, or something like that?
Which I was like, I get why they've done it, so people know who haven't seen the Clone Wars or anything like that, who are just watching this for the hell of it, so they know that it's Ahsoka. But I was just there, just like a little bit disappointed, because just like, we'd seen the original voice actress for Ahsoka voice an older version of Ahsoka in Rebels, so I was just there. It's like, why couldn't we just get her back?
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
So I think that's pretty much it. So, by the way,
it basically ends there.
Yeah,
it basically ends there.
We've got Pink in the chat. Hello, Pink.
Hey, Pink.
Thank you for joining us. We're just talking about Tales of the Empire, the series that released on May 4th, or just before May 4th. Might have been May 4th. On Disney Plus. Yeah, it was May 4th. And so I think you as far as I'm concerned, you've summed up the first those 3 episodes on Morgan very well there. That was pretty much it. I suppose then, if I give my sort of views on that, and then we'll get what you thought of it. I think my biggest issue with it was, as you sort of summed up there, it was it's going to be disjointed anyway, because that's what this series is meant to be like. It jumps from one story to the next. But there wasn't one of those three stories that I would actually describe as a story. There was just some events that happened in her life. The first one more so was. Pink says, there was also a show on a game called Fallout. Have you seen it? I have. I've watched that. I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to talk about it now because this is a specific Star Wars stream, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. And he hasn't seen it, so I don't want to give spoilers. But I will definitely talk about it at some point. I can promise that. I might even download the game.
Not on. Or...
I might even download the game so that I can talk about it whilst I'm playing the game on screen. But it is very good. But yeah, I think in general, the first one was good because, yes, it gave that backstory as to, why she joined the Empire. Because the Empire is effectively the new version of the Republic. So if she hates the droids, the Empire is who you side with. That makes sense. So that bit made sense. I loved seeing Grievous being so vicious again. Pink says, how did you guys enjoy Tales of the Empire? That is literally what we're covering, so you're here right at the right time. So I liked seeing Grievous like that, and I agree with what you said. Seeing those sorts of mountain clan that were sort of light side Night Sisters, I thought that was a really cool idea. That was something that I was like, whoa, that never occurred to me that was there. So that was good. But the next two episodes just felt like out of nowhere, she's suddenly the mayor of a town on a planet that we've never seen her in prior to this. There's nothing that happens that makes you think, I can see why they trusted her for that. I can see how she got there. It would have been cool seeing her use her powers or abilities to trick them.
Sort of brainwashing them.
Yeah, or to, and that her climb for power. But she's just suddenly there and already failing. So that bit for me was just not that great. I loved seeing Thrawn again. But from once we saw him, it was then, okay, cool. So she's with Thrawn now. This will be interesting. But then, no, she's back on the planet after Thrawn's gone. And it's just there to be a mild prequel to what we see in Ahsoka, but I didn't need it. There was nothing that happened in those other two episodes that I felt like I needed. So for me personally, that half of it, I think the first episode I would give a solid sort of 7 or 8 out of 10. I think is easily fair. I could easily see it getting better. But for me, I think a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. The next two episodes about Morgan, though, I felt if you'd combined the two into one episode and then did a different episode talking about what happened before, before the Ahsoka series or something, or just something in between, I don't know. It might have been better. Those other two, I think for each of them, the most I could give would be about a 4 or 5. Because they're just, not because they were bad, just because they were just not interesting to me. So that's my view on that half. I don't know what you think, whether you liked it more or what you think.
I would say I liked it more than the second half of, the second story of Tales of the Jedi, but that's purely because of the disappointment I had with that one. But yeah, I sort of agree with if you combine the last two of her story and make that into one, and then just have it as the one episode, and then have one in between Mando season 2 and then Ahsoka. Because I feel like it would have been good if we sort of got a mention of how, or actually saw how she came across Balin's skull, and
I hadn't even thought of that.
Why he then gets her out of the prison.
Yeah, because she knows him and Shin Hati already, doesn't she? It's made clear that she's like, or that she has some sort of connection to them, whatever. Or so that would have been really cool, because then you almost then set up for the next season to focus on them two, and it ties in already. That's a really good call. I absolutely could go with that. Which that actually makes me even more disappointed in it, though. That makes me dislike it even more, because literally that idea, an episode that introduced, even if they only come into it right at the very end as someone, there's two people she's helped, maybe she helped them escape or something like that. I don't know, anything. That's a really cool idea.
I'd just like to add as well, when you were talking about it at the start, and we were saying about something like Tales of the Sith, and then it turned out to be Tales of the Empire. It doesn't stop them completely from doing a Tales of the Sith. This could very much be like Tales of like people of like power in the Empire that we've seen stories of.
Yeah.
Like we could have another season where it's Thrawn, and then somebody else, because we could have a story with Thrawn, and then we'll talk about that later. But
do you know what though? I mean, just as you mentioned it there is I'm not being funny. If I got 100 Star Wars fans in a room, right, and I said to every single one of them, I want you to name 10 characters associated with the Empire, I don't think a single one would mention Barriss Offee or Morgan.
Yeah.
No one. I don't think anyone would. They're not really Empire characters. And in fact, across all 6, there's not even a great deal of the stories that are linked or are directly set with that character being part of the Empire. So they're not Tales of the Empire at all. One of them is Tales of the Night Sisters, and one of them is literally Tales of the Jedi again, really. So I think it was a really poorly named... I think it was like they just went, right, we're going to do these characters, but no one's going to be interested if we call it Tales of the Night Sister and a Tale of the Jedi. So we'll just call it Tales of the Empire and find a way to shoehorn them into the Empire at some point in the cartoons, because really was...
Morgan, we knew she obviously had to be in the Empire because Ahsoka Raska, where is your master, referring to Thrawn. So obviously she would have had to have been part of the Empire for Thrawn to be a master.
At no point in the series is she part of the Empire. She's in a town and she's trying to get them to work with the Empire, and she's trying to introduce things, but she's not really in the Empire. She's not
she then takes control. Like the last scene of the second episode is taking control of the city, and then she's part of the Empire.
And then by the time we see the next season, the Empire's already gone anyway. The Empire's doesn't exist anymore. You might have the Imperial remnant, but the Empire has already been overthrown by that point because there's no Emperor. So she literally spends, 5 seconds at the end of the second episode as part of the Empire. That's not particularly Tales of the Empire to me. But yeah. Okay, so then we have the second one. Now, what I will say for this one, so Barriss Offee, it's cool to revisit a character from the Clone Wars.
Which
and I think
we hadn't heard anything about since
since
they take her to prison, and then that's the last time you hear about her.
So there is that thing of, what happened to her then after the Jedi are killed? Does she get killed in prison, or does she get recruited into the Inquisitorius? Does what happens? Does she escape and survive? Well, as the answer turns out, all three at some point or another. But yeah, we have that question. We don't know, and it was quite an interesting one. And again, if this was called Tales of the Jedi, that would have actually been fit that really well, because
Yeah, it would have fit that story really well because she trains as to join the Inquisitorius. She
Yeah.
then is in an episode where she is part of the Inquisitorius, and then she by the end of that second episode, she decides to leave it and then becomes a
she's
Jedi.
basically a Jedi again, isn't she? A Jedi healer.
Yeah,
And
but I'll let you say what you
Yeah.
have to say about it. Because
I mean-
then I'll give my view.
yeah, okay, sure. So basically, we've got episode 1. She's in jail. She's recruited by a far more interesting character, who I don't think we've ever seen before. We've seen her in Kenobi, but I mean, we hadn't seen her before chronologically, timeline wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see her late. We see her later, although this takes place over multiple time periods. So bear with me; it's a bit confusing. We're introduced to this character who we've seen in Kenobi later in her life. I'm more interested in her already. I want to hear more about how she became an Inquisitor, but we don't. Instead, she recruits her to join the Inquisitorius. She's brought in for that. She's trained alongside what I can only describe as cannon fodder of characters. Like, from the moment you meet these other characters, you're just looking at them going, so you're there to die, right?
Just you're there to be made of an example of, and you're there to be the one who she kills.
So they reminded me, those characters, like, you look at them and go, like, in Star Trek, the original Star Trek, you used to have what were called red shirts. They were characters that would be in an episode, you've never heard of them before, and they were always wearing red. And they were beamed down to a planet, and you knew they were going to get killed. The only way you could be guaranteed more that they were going to get killed is if before they beam down to the planet, you meet their wife or their fiance, and they're about to get married. Or they've just had a kid, and you're like, you're definitely about to get murdered. And you'd see them like, okay, they're all on
I'm 2 weeks from retirement.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. They're on the beaming thing, about to go down to a new planet, and you've got, here's Captain Kirk, here's Commander Spock, and here's Ensign Ricky. And you're like, have you noticed how we're all wearing gold and blue, and you're wearing red? With a big target on the front. And that's literally, that's what these characters remind them of. They might as well have been called Ensign Ricky, because I'm looking at them going, you're there to be killed as part of her story. That's all.
There's a joke about who would win in fights, stormtroopers or red shirts, and the answer is stormtroopers, because somehow the red shirts would die.
Yeah, the stormtrooper would miss and the red shirt would still die anyway. And that's basic.
Here'd be the funnier answer. The red shirt dives into the bullet.
No, because then the stormtrooper would still technically actually hit. That would defy logic. But yeah, and that's what these characters. I'm looking at them going, so you're dead, right? You have been brought into existence so that you can die. That's the only reason you exist.
It's like they introduce them as if Barriss knows them, and I'm just there. It's like, I've never seen this guy in my life.
Yeah, yeah, just like, you are the most generic, dead ass loser ever.
What would have been, what I think would have been cooler and a lot more darker, would have been if we saw some of the younglings from like the youngling episodes in the Clone Wars.
The reason we haven't seen them is because you can guarantee Disney are bringing them back at some point.
You can guarantee Darth Vader's going to find them and finish the job.
Unfortunately, probably not. I'm sure they'll find a way for them to... They'll still be around for Rey's new Jedi Order.
Somehow the Jedi younglings.
yeah. Somehow the Jedi Wookiee survived. But anyway.
Does survive. He's in Batch, ain't he?
Exactly. Anyway, moving on. So we were introduced to these characters. She goes through. She quite happily embraces the dark side, like relatively damn comfortably. So you're sort of watching, going, and that's not bad. That's not a problem, because you're going, right. She'd already sort of betrayed the Jedi. Yes, but it was because she knew that the Jedi were corrupt. But she was already she's already been a little bit dark. She's done this. She's happily let this guy die and stuff, and that's okay. but she comfortably embraced the dark. And that actually was okay. That episode, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, okay, so she's one of the Inquisitors. And I think you were talking about there's an Inquisitor whose face we never see, and you were saying, oh, it'd be so cool if it turns out that was her all along.
No,
and
no,
I was
no,
like,
it's one that you do see her face, and everyone had been saying for years that that's Barriss.
Okay.
But they never reveal her name or anything. And it would have been so much cooler if that's the character that she turned out to be, but no.
It's not. It's not. So it's that
redemption arc.
Yeah, it's that fatal thing of you make things ambiguous, the fans think of something really cool, and you go, diverse expectations. So it's not that, and whatever you come up with is then disappointing. Because the reason fans thought of it is because it's actually a really good idea. And sometimes the fans actually know the characters that they love really well. Anyway, so we get the second episode, and her and this far more interesting Inquisitor are going off to this planet where they're going to kill some Jedi guy. And in the process, they find a bunch of other innocent people. Now, this far more interesting Inquisitor decides to go on a murder-kill spree thing, which I'll be honest...
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, which just felt a little bit silly. Like, it didn't make sense. Like, if she'd killed one person...
She had basically said, just like, tell us where the Jedi is, and I'm just like, I give you my word, there wasn't. Then Barriss is talking to a kid when she has that mask on and says, it's okay, you can trust me. She sounds creepy as all hell when she says that.
She does.
And I'm just there, it's like, I don't think I can if you have that on. And then she takes the helmet off, and then the kid tells her where the Jedi is. And then the more interesting character, who I believe is called Lee, or something like that.
Something like that, I don't know.
And she, that's when she goes, you gave me your word, and then slaughters everybody.
Apart from the kid, in fairness. The kid survives.
Apart from the kid, in fairness.
Yeah.
I mean,
so she does, nothing does happen to him.
I like how it's a case of we started with Revenge of the Sith, where we had to cut the camera when Anakin was killing all the younglings. Then it cut to him killing, and then we evolved to seeing him snap a little kid's neck in Kenobi, and now we can't see a kid get murdered.
But yeah, so then you've got this sort of big old kill scene, you're like, oh, and she then is like, she has this thing of, oh, maybe killing is wrong. I'm like, you only joined the Inquisitor last episode. We've not seen you actually being an Inquisitor, working for the Empire.
We forgot to mention that it literally takes place somewhat the next day.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, it never revealed how long she was
but
with
it feels like the next day.
But it feels like it was literally just the next day.
And it certainly gives that impression. Either way, we have, because while she's training, she's not part of the Empire. She's training to see if she can be. And then the first mission we see her go on, she turns against her master and just tries to save this other Jedi. And she has this fight, and it's a pretty cool action scene, in fairness. The lightsabers, this fight is decent. It's okay, whatever. But it's nothing you're going to remember massively, but fine. And then that's it. She's not with the Inquisitorius anymore, which was the whole thing we were looking forward to, was seeing more about the Inquisitorius. She's now not with them, and then we go to the last episode where she's this mysterious healer living in sort of solitude, helping people, and she comes across this family who bring their kid. Their kid is, of course, Force sensitive, which means the Inquisitors are coming looking for her. And it's that same Inquisitor, the more interesting character we would have liked to hear about. They get into this sort of thing. She saves the kid. She goes into some weird little cave. I don't know how many Force sensitive caves there are around the galaxy. They seem to be everywhere.
I was just there thinking, just like, so why can't she figure out where to go? It's just like, it's just a cave.
I think it was because it was meant to be a light side cave, but there's
it's also like, so she could find her way to the people who were still in the cave at the time, perfectly fine. But as soon as they leave the ship, then she gets lost.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a Force-sensitive cave tree thing on Dagobah. You've got the one on the planet that Luke trains Rey. There just seems to be magical Force caves all over the bloody place. But anyway, and then she dies. Barriss Offee dies, and it's like, it's meant to be, I assume, a redemption arc, but it's like, why? Why does everyone need to be redeemed? Like, it wasn't that she was evil in the first place. She was just a tragic character. And it would have been cool to see her join the Inquisitors and have 3 episodes seeing about Inquisitors. But no, we've got to do this. Anyway, before I give my thoughts, I'm just gonna let you talk.
By the Grand Inquisitor. Like, the Grand Inquisitor, the one who trained her, so you think, oh, she's definitely going to stick with the... No. But yeah, so going into it, I thought, oh, they're going to finally confirm that she's the Inquisitor in Rebels. But no. But it's like, the more interesting character came back to hunt her down when she's the Force healer, I would have preferred if that was Vader, because they teased the absolute hell out of Vader in the trailer, and all he did was sit on a chair.
Oh yeah, they really ham home that Vader's there, and considering it's Tales of the Empire
on a chair,
you'd really expect to see quite a lot about him.
But here's the other thing: the first time he meets Barriss as Darth Vader and as her in the Inquisitor, she doesn't have a helmet on, so you would think, just like Anakin's just said, just like, you motherfucker.
And it should either go one of 2 ways, because obviously, for those that don't know, Anakin, who is Darth Vader, he trained Ahsoka, and he loved her. It was like she was his little sister or his daughter or something like that. There was a special
nothing
type
creepy.
of nothing. No, but he loved her. Like, in some ways, maybe I would say at least on par with how he felt about Obi-Wan. Maybe a little bit less than how he felt about Padme, but we're talking that level. And Barriss Offee basically faked, sort of set her up, and she's the reason why she left the Jedi and he lost her.
Yeah.
Now, part of me is thinking, when he sees Barriss Offee, and not even sees her, he should have been able to sense her in the Force.
Yeah.
He should have either gone...
even if she had the helmet on,
he should have known.
He should have... I feel like you could have very easily just done a little thing where he just, like, he goes to Force choke her, but then stops.
Well, here's the thing. It should have gone for me. Either one, he thinks, you're the bitch that cost me my sister, effectively, for lack of a better term, or my, daughter, however he viewed her, because it's never really clear, but I say certainly a mentor who loves her and helped raise her, effectively. Yeah. And he should have been like, I am going to end you. Or we go, he is Darth Vader now. Actually, does he look it as, you did absolutely right. If anything, we should have listened to you. Or you helped get rid of one of my last weaknesses. He could have even looked at her and been sort of like, thank you, because you getting Ahsoka away from the Jedi is what saved her. There's literally any reaction at all would have been justified in one way or another. He could have hated her. He could have actually taken her under his wing as his new apprentice or something. Anything. But he doesn't respond in any way. He doesn't react. It's like he just doesn't know or care. And that's the only thing that doesn't fit. Literally any reaction at all to her would have worked in some way or another. The only thing that doesn't make sense is that he doesn't notice her or doesn't care. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was literally like, I would have loved to have seen it where, as soon as instead of it being the the more interesting character.
We just call her the more interesting character.
Yeah.
That's her name now.
Lee, I'm gonna go with Lee, but we'll just say the Inquisitor that isn't the Grand Inquisitor.
The interesting Inquisitor.
The interesting Inquisitor.
Yeah.
I would have preferred it as Vader was the one who was hunting down that family, and then as soon as he sees Barris, just goes, "No, I'm taking you on. I'm going to kill you for Ahsoka," because in my eyes, this could have, for all we know, because it was literally the start of the Inquisitorius. Like the building hadn't even been fully built yet. So it was quite literally just like, it could have very much been, you show us this, and it could have been like, and by the time of the third episode, we know the Kenobi series has happened, because then the more interesting Inquisitor comes along and somewhat even she gets a redemption arc.
Yeah, she does as well. Oh my god! Like, everyone gets redemption. I'm just waiting for them to turn around and go, do you know what, Palpatine, actually, in the afterlife, he turned out to be all right. He actually did a couple of solids for people.
When he was saying, when he was saying to Rey to strike me down, he was just like, "Just kill me, please. Okay, I've done a lot of bad things. I'm living with this guilt. Just kill me now."
Oh yeah, and do you know what? That's making me even more annoyed.
Because somehow Palpatine returned.
No, just the fact that now we're thinking about it. Bloody everyone. I mean, I'm not even going there, but it's.
But it's like, it's just. It would have been so much better if it was like either Vader was the one who she went on the mission with, and then he sees the whole thing of just like, oh, she's helping that Jedi boy. I'm chucking you off the cliff.
Wouldn't it have been really interesting if she'd gone on a mission with him, and he just keeps hinting, just probing that he knows things, and she starts suspecting. Wait a minute, and it's actually when that she looks in at one point, and he's like, in the end, he decides, do you know what, actually, I'm letting you live because I'm Vader, not Anakin, and letting you live is what makes me Vader, not Anakin. So he sort of goes with that, and then at 1 minute she goes, Anakin? And he just lifts his hand and snaps her neck. The moment he realizes she knows who she is, that's her death, and that's how she dies. End of the episode. That would have been cold, and then the episode ends, and I would have gone, wow.
It would have been, and I would have just been, hell yes. Just like, because like, we didn't even see any more of the Inquisitors. Here are the Inquisitors we saw the Grand Inquisitor, Marek, and the Inquisitor from Tales of the Jedi Season 1. And what do all those characters have in common? They're dead.
Yeah, it's kind of... Okay, so in a nutshell then, my sort of scores or thoughts on that. I thought the first episode was, again, okay. I wouldn't say 7. I'd say 7. It was a solid 7, and I was expecting then a lot more from the next two. So that one was a good 7 out of 10. I thought, this is going to be so cool now. And then again, the next 2 episodes... just either, like it did with the other one, they just went nowhere. In this one, they just undid what we've done so far. I don't... It was
just like, so why, it was just like, then why establish that she became an Inquisitor just to undo that?
Yeah. I would give the second episode, because at least she starts as an Inquisitor, I would probably say 6. And the final episodes, like 3. I don't care about some random Force healer living on a planet, and then you're gonna.
I don't care about redemption arc after redemption arc. Star Wars.
Oh my word! Like if everyone's redeemed, then it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything because the same applies to everyone. So it doesn't. It's got no value.
It's just like so. If all these people can be redeemed, then Palpatine can be redeemed.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Then it also means nothing. The fact that Vader. When Luke's saying, I see good in him, and everyone's like, no, and he's like, I do. I mean, it just makes everyone look like idiots, because everyone else has good in them, apparently.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone has...
I'll let you finish what you were saying about.
No, go on. It's okay.
Okay. The way I would have preferred to have seen it is first episode, keep the first episode as it is. The mission with the more interesting character, keep that. Just change the ending where she's the one who kills the Jedi. Because she's already embraced the darkness by killing the other one, so why would she just all of a sudden not kill the other Jedi?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. Like, if there was like a certain reason that like she knew that Jedi, like she did with the other one, then it would have been like, okay, then I can slightly understand it. But she's like, she didn't know that Jedi. Just like it was just a random like.
He's Ensign Ricky. He's Jedi Ricky.
Jedi Bob, but even Jedi Bob has more character.
Yeah, he certainly has more followers online. So it's just nothing, is it?
No, but and then the next episode she goes on a mission with Vader. He keeps dropping hints that he knows about her past, and then he mentions Ahsoka, which she would have been like, just like, hold on, that wasn't in any of like the files or anything about that on me. And then she just like, but I feel like it would have been cool if, like, you know, in how at the end of Clone Wars season 7, you can see into the lenses of Vader and you can see his eyes.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been cool if she sort of like either just looked close enough and saw, or she used the Force to sort of like somehow see into it and see that it's Anakin, and then go Anakin, and then he just goes.
Yeah, instant neck break. I just think that, and then literally it just goes dumb and ends. That would have been so epic.
Because they have. You haven't caught up on X-Men, have you?
No.
Okay,
No, don't talk about X-Men.
It's like, God damn it, there's so much I need to say to you. But yeah, I feel like if you can do it either that way, or you can keep your bloody redemption arc, and then Vader's the one who kills her.
Yeah.
Just like either have it, she does the mission with more interesting Inquisitor, she kills the Jedi in that mission, then she does a mission with Vader, then Vader kills her, or she does the mission, doesn't kill the Jedi, throws the other Inquisitor off the edge, and then then Vader's the one who comes and kills her.
Yeah.
And still have her mention that he's Anakin.
Yeah. It just gives that more. Yeah, it just I just feel like it was such a missed opportunity, because I don't think they picked anywhere near the best characters, and I don't think they did anywhere near the best with the characters they did pick.
I'm just gonna do a quick little check, because I've just had a sneaking suspicion this might have. If it is Dave Filoni, I'm gonna be mad. Did Dave Filoni? Okay, for some reason that is like different words that I typed out.
Boba Fett is here. There must be a bounty on all of us.
Filoni.
All we need is one more successful assault, and we'll win this battle.
Tales of the Empire.
Oh dear, the Emperor just returned somehow.
So Jabba's 6-part animated anthology in the style of Star Wars Tales of the Jedi was created by Dave Filoni. Dave, I'm disappointed in you.
Very.
Because it's lore that he made in Clone Wars.
It's just how.
Why didn't he use it? I swear to God, Dave.
The problem is simply how easy it is to make a better version of it. This is a conversation just between two random Star Wars fans, and And I'm not saying, like, just because we've come up with it, it's better. Any other Star Wars fan would have been able to come up with what we just came up with then. Nothing fancy. There was nothing clever.
I'm going to ask the guy who made the Julian Mustafar in the Clone Wars style, just like how much it's going to be to just like rewrite the Barriss of Faye story and reanimate it to be that. And then I'm just going to be like, yeah, can I use this and post this? And you can do the same on your channel. Because, my God, is this better than what they gave us on Empire?
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions then. To sort of, partly to wrap up our review of it, but also just to have a couple of spin-off thoughts. First of all, as a 6-episode series, a piece of content on its own, what would you give it as a score out of 10? And then I'll give mine.
5.
About 5. I think, yeah, I think maybe I could give it at a push a 6 because 1 or 2 episodes were good, but the other 2 episodes in both weren't that good.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could go higher than a 6, and I don't think 5 is brutally unfair either. I think animation style, it was good. Art style was good.
As
all
always,
that.
it's the updated Clone Wars one. I love
Yeah,
that art style.
Brill. But as stories, they were disappointing ideas to start with, and then they were worse with what they actually did. So that pretty much sums up our view on it. Really, it was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it enough, but if I'm thinking, what could they have done? Could have been so much better.
I might go back again and like rewatch it just
to
go
maybe.
back and see things I might not have noticed. One thing I did forget to mention though, I did quite like how the Inquisitorius seemed to be built on top of a old Jedi temple, because if you look, you could see like there was obviously some stonework and stuff like that, which was being incorporated into the building. So, yeah. But one thing I'd like to add that I was saying before as well, just about the whole Tales of the Sith and stuff like that. Just because they've done Tales of the Empire doesn't mean they can't do a Tales of the Sith.
So
on, like,
that kind of fits in with a couple of the little wrap-up questions I wanted to ask you then.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to literally just ask you a few questions, one by one, and then I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to give my answer to the question as well. But I want sort of like succinct, sort of in a nutshell answers. So we've got Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. Assuming that they are not going to do a second series to either of them, but each series is going to be a new thing, like either Tales of the whatever. If they're going to do, say, 3 more to make it up to 5, what 3 other things would you like to see them do? So we've had Tales of the Jedi. They're not going to do Tales of the Jedi again. They've done Tales of the Empire. We're not going to see that again. What other 3 things would you like to see them do to complete that set?
Tales of the Separatists.
That's an idea.
Give us the Grievous origin.
Oh yes, I like that.
So you could do one before he became a cyborg, then one where he is during the Battle of Geonosis, because I know in the books he's actually there, but in the stadium, like in the shadows and all that. And then do one sort of.
Well, don't worry about having to pick every story, but you can tell me the name of the series and which 2 characters. Okay. Also, before you do, Pink's just said, "How's your days been?" My day's been okay, thank you. Been a bit busy because I've been checking in on my mum and stuff, but okay, thank you, Pink.
My day's been okay, apart from slicing a
chunk out your thumb. Yeah. Trying to do that again.
That was
all good. Go on then. So what so you've got from the Tales, you got General Grievous
and who's that scientist guy who's got the green head and has like the blue robe? I can't remember what his name is. But he's in the 2003 Clone Wars for quite a bit.
Okay.
I can't remember his name, but I will look up a picture and send it to you after this
Yeah.
because.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Tales
So that's
Separatists,
Tales of the Separatists.
Tales of the Sith. Give us
Tales of the Sith.
Give us the more Sith Lords and stuff like that. Give us. I say don't give us Vader because we have enough Vader in.
So you're picking.
pretty
You've
much
got
everything.
two. Who are you going with?
I'd go with Palpatine and either Darth Plagueis or Revan.
Cool.
Because that way you bring in either the books into it or the games into it.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy with either or.
Okay, so that's two. What's your third one?
Third one would be Tales of the Bounty Hunter.
That's one I was thinking as well. And who are you gonna be your two in there?
Jango Fett. Give
I like
him
Django.
give us the before he was so basically like in the game like before he was like show like how he got selected into to be the clone of the well obviously the donor to be the clones.
Yeah.
Show us the oh god my brain's not working. Show us him training the clones because he does train some of the clones as well.
Yeah.
And then show us, obviously, like, you could show us, like, the Battle of Geonosis.
Yeah.
And stuff, but...
And who's your
obviously-
second bounty hunter?
Second one, now, I've got two ideas. One of them's Cad Bane, which I feel like could be an interesting one. Or, you could have it be the, oh no, I had his name in my head and then it just vanished. Oh god. No, it's not even he. It's the one from Boba Fett, Fennec Shan.
Oh, Fennec Shan. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before I say mine, I'm just going to quickly, because I noticed Pink returned and asked a question. So give me a second, Pink. I'm not ignoring you. I just didn't want to interrupt the Gaming Lord in his flow. And also, my phone died, so give me a second to just read what it was you said. And then I will give my answers as well.
Can't wait to get it up.
It's okay. I think it's coming up here now. So it says, this can be from any series in general, even the newest series. What's the best way a character has got developed? I suppose what we're talking about there is an arc, is like a development backstory. I am going to say Tales of the Jedi, Count Dooku.
Yep.
The 3 episodes covering Dooku's sort of turn as a Jedi, as a sort of a dark side leaning Jedi, and then just turning to the Sith. I thought that was fantastic. Don't know if you've got a different opinion or you agree or.
It showed. Yeah, I said Dooku before you even finished.
Oh, did you?
What?
There you go.
Yeah. Just like all I heard was, "What's the best way a character's been at Dooku?"
Dooku. Yeah, that was just so well
like-
done.
And just to say, it's Count Dooku Padawan Outpost.
Moving on. But thank you for the question, Pink.
because-
That's a good question.
Because like he was saying, just like it showed us like him doing a mission with Qui-Gon when he's younger, and then doing a mission after Qui-Gon sort of like started training Obi-Wan almost, and he's doing a mission with Mace,
Yeah.
and sort of like a young Mace, sort of like just not being his Jedi Master, but being just like a guiding,
Yeah.
a guiding sort of figure. And then the last one being his final turn to the dark side,
Yeah.
showing where he was in the Phantom Menace. And I feel like that formula is how every sort of thing
They should
be
go.
for-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to answer the same question I gave you, what 3 ones, and I'm gonna to make it a bit more interesting, because I would actually agree with a couple of the ones you picked. To be fair, so I'm gonna deliberately try and avoid giving the same answers, or at least for the names of the series, at least.
Okay.
The first one I'm gonna say is Tales of the First Order, because whether people like the sequel trilogy or not, it exists. It's out there, and the thing is, the prequel trilogy was as disliked at times as the sequel trilogy was. It was only really when books and games and the Clone Wars and stuff gave context to things that it suddenly became so much more beloved. And I think we could start giving some
for that.
we could start giving some backstory and context that would make the First Order start to make a bit more sense. So the 2 characters I would pick would be, you'd have the First Order and you could have Kylo Ren. Right off the bat, we can actually start to see.
Him on Tales of the Sith, I'd be like, okay, he's not a Sith Lord. He's
not. But he is in the First Order. So having Kylo Ren and also General Hux, I think his character was sort of.
You mean the guy who was the spy for the first?
Yeah, even though it made no sense initially, but you could give him suddenly. You could give him suddenly some backstory that then it might make sense.
He kills everybody.
So, but again, nothing in the prequel trilogy made any sense until the backstory was added.
Anybody in that kill somebody?
Yeah, lots of people did. Lots of people did.
Did anybody?
Mace
say they were a
Windu
spy
murdered
for the
someone in front of their own child.
Okay,
for a start. But anyway.
Hold on. Let me finish what I was saying.
No, let me finish. You've already had your say. This is my say now.
I'm just trying to defend my point here.
Too late. Right. Anyway, so I think Tales of the First... Because, let's be honest, if Star Wars is going to continue going forward, eventually it's going to reach the First Order. So we can either hide our heads and bitch and moan online... like trolls about it's rubbish, I don't like it. It's okay to not like it. Let's find a way to make it better then. We're not just going to pretend and make it go away. We're going to reach that point.
Like something like Clone Wars for the prequels.
Yeah, so that could be the start of that. So that would be the first one, Tales of the First Order. I would also say, I mean, you spoke about the... I mean, this is sort of like a halfway point, but to where you were saying. But I think Tales of the Mandalorians and having something that sort of fits that sort of thing. It's not specifically about bounty hunters, but I would like to see a little bit about what was the one in Rebels who's a bounty hunter. No, not a bounty hunter, a Mandalorian. What's her name?
As in the one who's on the team?
Yeah, and the one who's in, and you see her then later on in Ahsoka and stuff. Sabine, that's the one, yeah. Because although we've seen quite a lot of her in Rebels and in Ahsoka, we don't really see anything that happens between the two. So we could have episodes that take place when she's much younger.
She has force powers?
Exactly. But you give it some context, and actually maybe it makes some sense. Yeah, and then all of a sudden that helps. And this is going to be the same as yours. I would absolutely love to see more of Jango Fett.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Really love to see that. And you could tie in as to why he's a Mandalorian, but he's not a Mandalorian, and all that sort of stuff.
You could tie into the fact that he fought alongside, like, in the Mandalorian Wars.
Yeah. And
stuff.
My last one is going to be a little bit cheeky.
I like this.
You will like this. So, for those that don't know, anything that exists outside of Disney canon is called Star Wars Legends. And I would have one called Tales of the Legends. And I would have one episode be about Starkiller, Galen Marek, and I would have one episode,
That was a missed opportunity.
another episode being about Darth, another three-parter being about Darth Revan.
Yes.
Yes. I agree with his. I like his idea.
Any idea with Darth Revan is for me?
It's for all of us. It's for everyone.
I need to do a Darth Revan and Starkiller cosplay at some point.
The problem with Darth Revan is he doesn't actually really have a look. Not really. There's ways that you see him look.
Many looks.
Yeah, any of them basically.
And then for Starkiller, just go for the Sith one because I'm not pulling off a Sam Witwer hairdo.
I mean, to be fair, so I know I had a couple of questions. We actually ended up covering, because I was going to say what would be the name of the seasons, but then you started saying who was going to be in them as well, and I was like, that was going to be the other one. So that was no, which wasn't a problem, because it just means we covered everything at once. I suppose, to sort of wrap up, we've sort of said what we thought of the series. We sort of spoke about what we'd like to see going forward. I suppose the only other thing I would sort of ask is, between Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, Twales, do you actually think we're going to see another one? Do you think we're going to see another? Do you think these are two separate things, or like an ongoing thing, or do you reckon that's it?
On Disney Plus, they are two separate things. And we have been told that we would be getting a season 2 of Tales of the Jedi. Now, whether this was it or not, I don't know.
That's what's hard to know.
If it was, you'd think it would be under Tales of the Jedi, and then season 2 would be Tales of the Empire.
And also, Morgan is no way a Jedi.
Yeah.
So I suppose then my other question would be then, based on that, if we assume not, that this will be my last question, and then we'll just finish off this particular game with some casual chat. If we get a second Tales of the Jedi, or, so this is a two-part question, so you get to talk a bit more. If we get a second Tales of the Jedi, or we get a second Tales of the Empire, what two characters would you like to see for each of them?
Okay. Tales of the Jedi, I definitely like to see Mace.
Okay. And
then probably see, there's quite a few that I'd actually like to have.
Gotta pick one, dude.
Kit Fisto.
There's 10 seconds left in the match, and I've still got to do mine.
Kit Fisto!
Okay. And if it was Tales of the Empire?
Tales of the Empire, simple. Grand Inquisitor and Thrawn.
Grand Inquisitor and Thrawn. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, is it Thrawn?
Thrawn.
Thrawn.
No, it is Thrawn. It is Thrawn. I just said it wrong. Thrawn. Okay.
I thought I was saying it wrong.
I'm going to bring us out of this as I do mine and then wrap up. I would say for the Jedi, and I'll deliberately try and pick different ones to you, so that I'm not just saying the same things.
I'm going to try and prick different ones.
Just shush. So you said for the Jedi, you said Mace Windu and Kit Fisto?
Yeah.
I am going to say, what's his name? The one that we saw in Ahsoka, who?
Ezra?
No, the old guy who's become a Darksider.
Baylan Skoll?
Baylan Skoll, yeah,
Skrull.
him, because I just think he's awesome. Really want to see more of him. And I would like to see... now, what's his name? Give me a second to come up with his name here.
Describe him.
No, because we've never seen him. Sifo Dyas.
Ah, okay.
Because that would...
Him?
not properly.
Well, yeah, probably, but it's not actually him. It's like the Force ghost of him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
but
I know
he's
what you
there.
mean. I know what you mean. And for the
I thought you were
Empire,
gonna say. I thought you were gonna say the Parasaur Elephant
Yeah.
looking dude in Attack of the Clones.
who did you say for Empire?
Thrawn and Grand Inquisitor.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the more interesting Inquisitor. Why not? Why not?
Really?
Well, no, I suppose not now because they've already made her less interesting by the end of it. But
Redemption.
yeah, redemption. And I will say, do you know what's gonna? This is a really random one. The one who hits the button on the Death Star before it blows up Alderaan.
Okay.
Just random guy whose job it is to push the button. Do you know what I mean? Because suddenly you've got this idea of he's the one who had to push the button that destroyed a planet.
Yeah.
Give him some backstory. Give him, and I think it'd be interesting to just hear about these real normal people.
It'd be interesting to hear that he was actually from Alderaan. He didn't know they were shooting at Alderaan.
Yeah,
then finds
he
out
just-
that it was Alderaan.
It'd be interesting if it turns out
And
he
then
didn't even know what
gets
that.
redemption.
Yeah, if he didn't even know what that button did, like he thought he's just ordered a frappuccino. He's like,
The button just says T.
and he's like, do you know what that
He's like,
button really
"Oh."
does? Someone tells him, and he's like, oh hell no.
Just like he just looks up, just like just distraught on his face, just like
Oh no, you
I
didn't.
just killed my mom.
No, you didn't. Okay. So
before you say,
Cool.
I saw a video and it was just like these guys playing Battlefront 2, and they were all like discussing just like all these things, like they're all shouting different ideas about why they blew up Alderaan, and then one of them in the background just goes, but on the bright side, that unemployment rate is down at 0 now.
there you go. That's Tory thinking. That is.
Just like, no, everything's at 0.
Don't say that. If Rishi Sunak hears that, that'll be his next plan. Wait a minute. If I blow up England, sorry, a little bit of political humour there for you. So first of all, just to say this, so that's like that is the last bit of content for my Star Wars week content. I am going to sort of make a playlist of that because I had a really nice time doing all this stuff. There's lots of people sort of joined in the chats and stuff. Obviously I've done bits on my own, I've done bits here like with the Game of Lord 4, so it's been really fun.
Nice.
So I'm going to make a playlist of it so it's all there together. Including some of the YouTube short, the Dumb Ways to Die Lego Star Wars shorts I did as well. So I'll put them all in together. I just want to say a big thank you to DC, who, by the way, I haven't seen in ages in one of these like streams and stuff. So it was really cool to see you again, dude. Thanks for swinging by. And also a big thank you to Pink Firehearts World, who turns up to these streams, and I know turns up to the Gaming Lord streams quite a lot as well. Absolute awesome person. Thank you for swinging by. Really cool. And of course, big thank you to you, Gaming Lords 04, for being here and joining me for this. I don't know if you've got anything in particular you want to say before I big you up and then do the goodbyes.
I don't know if we're gonna come back to this game or not, but it was fun playing it again. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll be honest, I might leave it downloaded and maybe we can do it every now and then. A little treat. Or maybe every time there's a new Star Wars show, we'll do a little review of it on one of our channels playing this. Or maybe we'll do a little challenge every now and then for a bit of a laugh. So nice try, dick. In case you didn't know, that little knob rot over there just decided to try and sneak me into Ewok once. But I caught his little prick ass out.
The infections cancelled matchmaking.
Yeah, and that, just so everyone knows, that on my screen right now, that is actually a picture of the Gaming Lords 04.
What's on his screen? Hold on.
So, yeah. So thank you very much to everyone that stayed, that joined in the comments and the chats and everything, not just on this video, but on all the Star Wars Week stuff. I'm sorry it didn't run perfectly to plan. For those that don't know, in real life, my mum's been in and out of hospital and stuff, and this week she's actually gone in for surgery, so she's back in hospital at the moment. So it has been a little bit hit and miss, and I do, joking aside and stuff, big thank you to the Gaming Lord 04 for being patient, because this stream was meant to happen earlier in the week, had to be put back and then swapped around and all this sort of stuff, so I appreciate that. For those that don't already, please do go and check out the Gaming Lord's channel if you like Star Wars. He's done playthroughs on a couple of Star Wars games, like the Jedi, what are the Fallen Order, and what are they called?
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor, which I've not.
I have to just say one quick thing.
Yeah.
I am coming back to streaming as soon as I finished my first year in uni, which is this week coming. So
Cool.
I'll be back after that. The reason I know I've said it a couple of times, it's just been like, yeah, I'm off these next few weeks, so I'll be able to do some streams then. I haven't been able to because uni work has taken over,
Which is
so
definitely more important.
it's more important.
Yeah.
But I like to engage with you guys and
Yeah.
talk to you guys on here. So as soon as I get back, first thing I'm doing, finishing Jedi Survivor.
And I think you were talking about doing a 100% playthrough on Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga as well, weren't you?
I've been talking about that for a while.
Yeah. So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah.
So he's got loads of Star Wars content and stuff on his channel. Plus, he is starting to show some of his the stuff that he's done as like Star Wars cosplay bits. And I know there's currently a short out there of him with his the Boba Fett helmet he made. I'm not saying this because I'm biased, although I admit I am biased, you know. But the helmet he made, it is, I kid you not, if you see it, you would think it is one of the ones that in the shops that you can buy. It is that good. It's not. That's
And
not
for
an exaggeration.
For my first fiberglass.
It's incredible. It is incredible.
Yeah, like even my tutors were like, well, Rick, who's a lovely guy, just came up and said, "Oh well, it's not shit."
That is true.
Because that's Rick. But then the one who showed me how to do the fiberglass process was like, it's really neat on the the outside. Like you've got a really smooth, but obviously the parts with the air bubbles weren't.
He just say he told you you've got a really smooth butt.
I swear to God.
All right. Well, whatever goes on in uni stays in
No.
uni, I suppose.
No.
So yeah.
And that's obviously finish. I wasn't finished.
That's obviously why the Gaming Lord 04 hasn't been doing streams recently, because he's been expressing his really smooth
butt.
butt.
Not end the stream with this, because
No,
then people
go on. It's
gonna
okay.
judge my uni. But shut up. They said it was smooth on the outside, and then because fiberglass, if you don't know, it's little pointy like fibers which are sharp as all hell. I've had one stab into my hand. It's not a pleasant feeling. But then you layer it with some fiberglass like mesh, which again, sharp. It's not pleasant. But I managed to get it all smooth on the inside as well, and I did a good job for my first fiberglass mold. It was fun.
And it was so good. Like, I mean, I don't mean so good for someone it's their first one. I don't mean so good for someone doing their first. I mean so good, full stop. Legitimately, go and check it out. Also, if you are a fan of Star Wars and you happen to like Lego, and you're one of those weird people who has TikTok, please go and check out Saber Duel Bricks, because there's a lot of Star Wars stuff there. Because over May 4th, I actually went and got some new Star Wars Lego, so there's a little bit of an revealing unboxing there as well. But Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for watching. Comment below if you've enjoyed what you've seen here. Let us know what other Star Wars stuff you'd like to see me do maybe for next year's May 4th. I'm always in for taking early ideas. Saves me having to come up with them myself. So again, one more time, thank you for the Gaming Lords 04. Thank you to DC and Pink for watching. Until next time, have a great weekend and take the high ground. Goodbye.
Goodbye.